It initially started when we were at Regent Park, Duke of York Public School, and I recall hearing about the Citadel at one of our community meetings. And the school is part of a group of community agencies known as SCARP, that are a number of agencies working to serve the families and kids of Regent Park. And when I heard about some of the programming options that were available at the Citadel, I thought this would be a really nice fit for our kids and give them an opportunity to get exposed to the arts. And I ended up reaching out to you because we had one class in particular that was really struggling, and the kids were having all sorts of issues with self-regulation. There were a high number of suspensions, and we really felt like the class was just at a tipping point where we really needed to kind of think outside the box in terms of how we would intervene to try and get them back on the right track. This is a community that's had to deal over the years with a high rate of violence, and it's unfortunate that the kids in some ways have just become accustomed to it. There have been a number of former students that have been killed over the last couple of years, and there historically has been a divide between the north and south portions of Regent Park, and in fact a lot of gang activity divided along those lines. And so by being able to bring the kids and the parents together from the north, Lord Dufferin, and from the south, Nelson Mandela Park, and come into your space at the Citadel, has just been beautiful.
Preached my first sermon as a teenager here. I'm glad there's no recording of it, but yes, I did do that upstairs in the main studio. And so we actually held a Faith in Regent Park event here back in November, which brought together representatives from a variety of faith communities in Regent Park. And as I stood to kind of open the event, I was standing in almost the exact same spot that I preached my first sermon about 35 years ago. My father was the minister of the church here for a couple of years, and my mother served with him as well. They kind of did that as a team. I think it's a wonderful repurposing of the building, and I've heard that many people come in here and say that this is a very spiritual place, and so I think this is a great continuation of what's been going on here for a very long time.
I guess just to have like a home, if we can say, so people they relate to us. They know that we're here. They know that we're trying to build something here, and that's just something that we haven't had for us as a company. Never. We always just being hopping from studio to studio, places to places, and things like that. And we never really found what I tried to find all the time was a chilling spot, a place where you just want to come. It's not necessarily just a transaction-based relationships that will come and pay your rent, you leave. It's more like you come, you know the people here, I know you, I know everybody that will work here, even people that rent before, after. And we get to just talk, chill, things like that, or just swing by. I'll do my groceries, come by and hey, how are you guys doing? Things like that.
I'm enjoying working here because it is positive vibe, and each time I'm coming here, I'm always smiling. So, it's kind of really good for myself and for my health too. And I also know that with the student too is also love that.
The place that we had before is kind of you're sharing studio with so many people, and it's kind of you have your corner and things like that. Or if you rent, it's kind of you go in and out, you have an hour and you're out. Sometimes even before or later. And here is we just come and we feel at home, so there's no that kind of pressure. So that's a big plus. Take off that pressure from the creative process to just be able to just come and be okay guys, we're gonna take 3-4 hours today and just experiment, just try stuff and try new things that we never tried before.
So it's huge in terms of how we can develop our material. Probably stuff that we wouldn't be able to do if we didn't have access to the studio here, or that we'd be in our living room, you know, between our sofa and our kitchen, trying to move, which is mainly how Ophelio and I started choreographing when we were in Montreal. We had no studio, no space. We would move the furniture in our living room and choreograph like that, and our TV was the mirror.
Like I said, you know, it's an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity like for everyone to meet together and really like embrace this dance and share it together, right? And if we don't have like a place like this, like, you know, maybe like we will be like separate, and because, we are separate, like the dance cannot really evolve, right? So, having Citadel, like it's just like regrouping like, like people who enjoy like this art, because it's an art form, right? And yeah, it's a good opportunity like to involve like the dance.
How big a difference does having a space like this make? Well, it's huge, because we can't perform, we can't rehearse, we can't perform, we can't practice just anywhere. It has to be in these places where it's set up so that we don't hurt ourselves, because it's fine to dance on concrete every once in a while, but you do that every day and your body immediately feels it, especially in my older age. So as a creator, to be able to have a space where usually you have to budget a huge amount of what you have, and I mean, that's just the reality. The dance is kind of expensive, hiring dancers, hiring specific spaces to rehearse in, and so to have a space like this, when it comes to even just purely financial reasons, because of the generosity of the owners, it makes a huge difference, because it allows you to take those resources and put them towards the dancers, or put it towards maybe even being a creator that pays themselves for once, which is kind of unheard of, unfortunately. But it allows sort of a reallocation of, to put it into maybe having a set for once, or having to explore other ideas, because it just gives you a little more freedom.
Knowing the history of Regent Park, when you say Regent Park, you don't think like it's the heart of the city for the arts, like you don't think that. And I think since it's been here, it's opened, first of all, huge doors for the community here. It's the little things like that that I think change people's lives. Like when I was 4 or 5, I started taking a class, and now that's how that's my job. And I think that can change potentially people's lives, or the way they're active, or things like that. So having classes for the community is huge, but also having a space where they can see art at an affordable price, and I don't know, I think art will change the face of Regent Park.
Seeing the change in Regent Park has been quite remarkable. I first came here just kitty corner from here when I was a teenager, and volunteered in the basement of one of the old buildings in a drop-in center with a group of preteens, and to come back and see the transformation. We're finishing up phase 2 and heading into phase 3 of the rebuild of Regent Park. It's remarkable to see this happening. It's very exciting, and it's exciting to be part of it through the work that I do. It's exciting to know that Coleman Lemieux and the Citadel are part of that revisioning and transformation of Regent Park as well.
So as we move forward, I think the thing that I know the staff and myself and Ainsworth Morgan, the Vice Principal, are focused on we're looking for ways to build student engagement, right? Without student engagement, the children are not going to be interested in their learning, and learning can occur. So I think that's fundamental, and we need to be creative in finding ways to do that. And I think a big part of it is learning through the arts. And as committed as we are to science and technology, because that is just fundamental, it's also important to incorporate the arts into the children's learning. And the buzz term right now is STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. My preference is to call it STEAM, science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math, because they're all linked And it's all part of student engagement, but it's fundamental that we provide opportunities for these children to learn through the arts.
So like I was talking about the mechanic field, so I'm kind of doing like the human robots, and there's like time stop, there's like this waving style. It's more like undulations, and and the effect is like I don't have any bone, right? And then there's the popping, the muscle contraction. It's like an explosion of muscle. And yeah.